If you love cracked chicken, you are going to love today's recipe. We're making crock pot cracked chicken soup. So you get all the flavors of the cracked chicken, which is chicken, cream cheese, cheese, bacon, and ranch dressing mix. You get all those delicious flavors that we love, that we've been making for years, but now it's in a comforting soup. Hi, I'm Carrie with EatingOnADime.com, and we are on a mission to help families eat well on a budget. This recipe is so simple, you can throw it in the crock pot in about 5 minutes, and you're gonna love the results. Now, any crock pot will work for this recipe. You do not need a fancy crock pot, but we do have a link to my favorite slow cookers linked below in the description. And you can also find today's recipe linked below as well. If you can't find it for some reason, just go to Google and type in "Eating on a Dime cracked chicken soup" and it will pull right up for you. Okay, let's start cooking. Okay, first we're going to need about 2 pounds of chicken breasts. Boneless and skinless is what I'm using. You could also do like boneless chicken thighs or even chicken tenders if you wanted to for this recipe, because we're going to be shredding them, so it doesn't really matter. I wouldn't do a bone in. You could, but I wouldn't. So once that's laid just flat into the crock pot, we are going to throw 1 package of ranch seasoning mix. You can get this at any grocery store. We also have a homemade ranch seasoning mix if you would like to use the homemade version as well. We need to throw in 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Then we need 4 cups of chicken broth. And then 1 cup of water. Just gonna give it a quick stir. Then we're going to add the lid and we're going to cook this on high or low for 5 to 7 hours, or on high for 3 to 4. It's not gonna take very long, but you do want that chicken to be completely shreddable, and then we're gonna add in all our goodness. Then we're gonna need 4 pieces of bacon that you're going to throw in. I have already cooked these nice and crisp. I like to do that just because it gets some of the grease out, because I don't want all the grease into our soup. So we're gonna chop that up into bite-sized pieces. The reason I say bite-sized, because remember this is a soup, so we want it to fit on a spoon. And putting this in there now, it's gonna seep all that bacon flavor throughout the soup and make it extra tasty. You can use pre-cooked bacon as well if you would like to. My hair got stuck to my lipstick. Now we're gonna add the lid. We're gonna cover it. We can cook it on low for 5 to 7 hours, or we can cook it on high for 3 to 4 hours. We're going to want that chicken to be completely shreddable. So you want it falling apart before you start, before we're ready to stir in everything else to make this amazing soup. Okay, I will be back in just a few hours. Okay, it's time. Woo! Now that it's all nice and cooked, the chicken, it's not gonna look like much in there, so don't be panicky. It's just gonna look like a bunch of broth and chicken. Sorry, that's my puppy. And that's because that's what it is chicken and broth. It's gonna smell really good, but see how my chicken is coming out in pieces? Sorry, Rosie. But see how it's coming out in pieces? Because it's literally falling apart. Okay, so we're gonna get all that chicken out and then we're going to shred it. You're just gonna, you can do my kitchen mixer tip if you want to, if you've seen some of my other videos, but since this is so, I mean, it's just falling apart, I'm just gonna use 2 fingers and just shred that chicken. And we're gonna push it right back into the crock pot. Let's see how fast this is. I'm already almost done. What? Can you believe that? See? Literally, I removed it in less than a minute. So you want to make sure that chicken is falling apart. That way it's not difficult to shred. Then we're going to place the chicken back into the crock pot. Then you're going to need 1 block of cream cheese. We usually just let it sit out so it's nice and soft. Then you're just going to take a knife and you want to just dice it up into smaller pieces just so it'll melt faster in the crock pot. You really don't have to. You can see it's like even hard to dice up because it's so soft. And then we're just gonna place this right into the crock pot and let it melt while we're getting everything else done. So we want that cream cheese to start melting. And then we're just gonna stir it around. I'm gonna put that lid back on so that way it can start melting while we're getting everything else ready. Now it's time to add 2 cups of baby kale. So what we're gonna do is chop it up first. Now, if you don't want kale in your soup, you can completely leave it out. I like adding it because it adds greens to it and gives you some vegetables in there. You do you, no one's gonna judge you. Now, if you have picky eaters, make sure you chop it up really small because it will, you know, it shrinks when it cooks in there. And the reason we don't add it in the beginning is because it doesn't take very long to cook. So I just pile it up, run my knife through it one way, and then turn it all and run it again. Then if you're wanting it smaller, then you can just continue chopping it up. Like some of my kids might be mad if some of them are bigger. And so we're gonna chop them up a little bit smaller, but that's just because of picky eaters. You do you, no one's gonna judge you. I do like to keep them small enough though to fit on a spoon because remember this is a soup, not like a stew or a casserole, so it's got to fit on a spoon when we're eating it so we can get a little bit of kale with every bite. Okay, now that's done. We're going to toss this in the crock pot and let it start cooking. We're just going to scoop that in, give it a quick stir, and let that start wilting and cooking down into the crock pot. Now, it doesn't look the best right now. Don't panic. It's gonna be good and it smells amazing, I promise. Then we're gonna take about 1.5 cups of shredded cheese and mix it in as well. Now, it says shredded cheese, okay? But I really like it if you take the block cheese. I know I'm like a broken record if you've been following me for a while, and take the block cheese and hand shred it. It just takes a couple seconds to shred it, but it just tastes so much better and it will melt. If you're having like really stringy soups when you're mixing in your cheese, it's because you're using the pre-shredded. So go ahead and use freshly shredded and it will just melt so beautifully in there. So we're gonna toss this in here, give it a mix around. I think I need just a little bit more cheese. And we're gonna let all these flavors combine and let them melt for about 30 minutes to an hour to let all the flavors combine. So let me just add a little bit more cheese, making sure to save some for top because you've got to have toppings on this as well. And then we're just gonna mix this up. Okay, I'm gonna add the lid and we're gonna let this cook for about an hour on low and then we will come back. Now, if you're having trouble with the cream cheese just kind of separating into little pieces and not melting fully, I like to take a whisk and just shake it like this to help break those down. And then I'll put the lid back on and let them keep melting. So I just wanted to give you that tip in case you have that problem too. Okay, it smells delicious. Everything is nice and melted. Now remember, you can use that whisk if you need to just to get those little pieces, and we're ready to serve. I'm so pumped. I love the flavors of Crock potato soup. Now this is a soup. If you want it thicker, you could also do like a cornstarch slurry and mix it in. Now also a few things before, I'm gonna let this cool in the bowl while we're chatting. A couple things if you wanna jazz it up. You can make your chicken stretch by adding in like 2 cans of white beans. You would just throw those in after you shredded the chicken and heat them up through, or not. When you throw in the chicken, you would throw the beans in at the very beginning. And that would just help stretch that chicken budget. So you're still getting the protein, but beans are a lot cheaper than the chicken and it's white and it'll be delicious either way. Then for your toppings, you're gonna top it with whatever you want, but we're gonna do more of that cheddar cheese and of course, more chopped bacon right on top. I'll just throw it all in there, it's good. Everything's better with more bacon. See? Isn't she lovely? I think I sang that on the last one. So good. If you love cracked chicken and all the flavors, you're going to love this easy soup recipe. Try to get a bite. That's not going to burn my mouth. I know you want to sit here and watch me blow on my soup. I love the flavor. It's so good. And it'll just warm you up on a cold day. So make sure you save this. If you love this recipe, excuse me, I swallowed it too fast. Make sure you like and subscribe. That way you don't miss any more of our recipe videos. We're on a mission to help families eat well on a budget, but we're also on a mission to show you that we're real people. With the ramped up of AI and everything, you're gonna see a lot of fake recipes out there. And we want you to know at eatingonadime.com, you are a trusted source of delicious recipes that are made for real families with real food by real people. And so that's why we are really pushing all of our videos to show you how easy our recipes are. So thanks so much for following me. Remember, you can grab the full recipe at eatingonadime.com or in the description, or just go to like Google and search Eating on a Dime cracked chicken soup and it'll pull right up for you. So thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you next time for another family-friendly recipe in my kitchen. Bye, friends.